I'm gonna go ahead and do some club news to kick the meeting off, and just a couple items of fungi in the news from the last month. Mitch is in charge of our virtual ID table this month, and then as our main presentation, we've got some folks from Fundus talking about their Southeast Rare Fungi Challenge, which should be super interesting with some unusual mushrooms. And just some upcoming events for the club. Our monthly DNA sequencing lab, the next one will be June 30th. And then right after that, our next monthly meeting, the first Tuesday of every month, right here on Zoom. And then save the date for the end of July, July 28th, we're going to have a picnic. And this year it's going to be at Carter Rock. We reserved the pavilion there. So we're going to try that as a location. And April may or may not be cooking up ideas about getting people to bring interesting food to the picnic. So stay tuned on that. I've been talking about the upcoming weekend forays all year long, and now it finally feels like they're actually in the next couple months, and you need to plan if you're going to go to them. Registration is open for the West Virginia foray with the West Virginia Mushroom Club. That's in the middle of August, and then our big weekend event is Labor Day weekend in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. Registration will open sometime by the end of June. We'll send out an email to members when it's ready for you to go ahead and register. There will be scholarships available, so just know that we have some funding for folks to attend if you need it. And then Megan Romberg, who organized our first ever talent show last year, wanted me to remind people to be thinking ahead because some people thought they didn't have enough notice last year for putting something together. So you are on notice. Bring your best talents, skits, songs, whatever you want to do for the
No
talent show.
excuses.
It's you notice. Mushroom costumes also were a big hit. Megan has an amazing corn smut costume. Maybe we'll get to see that again. There's another foray up in Pennsylvania a little bit later in September that some of our club members like to go to, named after Gary Linkoff. There's one up in Cape Cod in October, and then the national, or more than national, the North American Mycological Association foray is in Washington State this year, over Halloween into the beginning of November. It's later than usual because they have the weather that can handle it, which is nice. It spreads out the season a little bit. All right, so our biggest club news right now is just that we just had an amazing tasting event on Sunday. This is in a church basement, so the venue is not beautiful, but the food was amazing. And these photos that I'm about to show you are all by Ajadi Simmons, who I just learned is a professional portrait photographer. Check out his website. His work is amazing. If you need that kind of stuff. But he was taking pictures all afternoon at this event. So we had awards. We had a People's Choice Award, and we had a Judges Award, and we had first, second, third place in all those in both of those categories. And I'm just going to go through those 6 winners because I think it showcases some of the amazing things that people came up with to bring. So third place for the People's Choice Award was brand new mom member Sam Herring. He jumped right in and brought this amazing mushroom agnolotti, is that how you say that? Basically ravioli. I don't know what the difference is. Handmade ravioli with mushrooms inside, and then there's this beautiful mushroom sauce on top. So welcome to Ma Sam. What a great debut that was. And then Andy Hassan made candied wood ears that were amazing, and he won't tell us how he did it, so you'll just have to get more from him sometime. But the texture, I expected them to be hard like a dried wood ear is, but he did something with them that made them just like this pleasant, almost not quite like a gummy bear, but like a really pleasant chew to them. So that was a fun dessert. That was third place in the prizes that were given out by our celebrity judges, who maybe I should have mentioned first. I've got them in here later. So second place for the People's Choice was longtime club member Ray LaSala. He made a Vietnamese mushroom pate, like the pate that would be on a banh mi, but he did it on crackers. But it had like cilantro, really wonderful flavor. So that was fun. Ray's been a participant in many tasting events over the years. Susan Dow got second place in the judges category. She made bao buns with mushrooms in them, which I can only imagine how much work that was, but they were really, really yummy and just beautiful texture. Uh, and then now we're to the first place winners. So for People's Choice was Nicola Davis, and she made this dish called trinchado, which is Portuguese and South African and kind of like poutine, but with different flavors. But there's French fries under there with like this sauce and mushrooms in it, and it was really delicious and hearty. And then first place in the judges awards was Victoria Lantau with Hayashi rice, which was also like super, she really brought out the mushrooms in it. I think that was one of her keys to success. So congratulations to all of the cooks. Our panel of judges were Nevin Martel, who's a local food writer, who several of us know. I think he's a club member. Jean-Louise Conaway, who runs Each Peach Market in Mount Pleasant. And then many of us know Julian Fortu. He did a fancy dinner for Sequinoto last year, and is a local forager and chef. And then Each Peach and also Madison Mushrooms donated great prizes for folks. So that was really fun to sort of work in some local foodie people to the event, and then just many other volunteers and cooks who all pitched in to make this happen. Takes a lot of organizing and logistics. So big shout out to April, who has really, this event existed in many forms over the years, but she's really taken it to another level here. And I know she's got a lot of help from the whole culinary committee team, which has been great. And maybe I should also shout out to Marisol, who drove all the way to Pennsylvania to pick up the mushrooms from Phillips Mushrooms, who I probably also should have mentioned as a big donor for this event over the years, giving us their cultivated mushrooms from Kennett Square. The other culinary piece that I have for you is that NAMA ran this contest. We're in the middle of it, I guess. The submissions have been made, but they haven't announced the winners yet. But April thought it would be fun to mention they did sort of a chopped style challenge. So they had this list of required ingredients for everyone's dishes. They had to have mushrooms, but also, miso, cream cheese, maple syrup, parsnip, and potato chips, which is a weird combo, right? So April and Julian made this savory cheesecake. And April has put the recipe up on her Instagram account, so you can get it there. Maybe we'll send it out in the newsletter too. But sort of a cheesecake, but they managed to put the potato chips in the crust of it, right? And the parsnips went with sort of this savory theme, and then caramelized mushrooms on top. So just creativity with food. It would be fun to do a chopped challenge sometime, maybe with all of these awesome cooks that we have in the club. So I know folks are chatting a little bit about that. And if you want to get involved in the culinary committee, I'm sure they would love to have you help out with that kind of stuff. One last sort of club news is just that this I forgot to grab the name of the student, and now I'm forgetting her name, but there's a student film that someone did this spring called Underfoot, that features several mom members. So it's a little 10-minute movie if you want to watch people foraging for mushrooms and hear from April and Mitch and some other folks in the club. It's a fun little watch. A couple of fungi in the news stories. I thought this was a really nice article in Forbes about a company that's trying to figure out how to use mushrooms specifically to break down the waste from construction debris. Um, and they're actually then taking the mycelium that grow that have broken down this material, and they are marketing them as like fiber and fill for other construction or industrial sort of products. So if you go to this Forbes article, there's like a little 10-minute video that you can watch where you can see some of the stuff they're working with. I thought it was really interesting. And then Cindy sent this article about testing the dust in people's houses on Earth and then the dust in the International Space Station, and comparing the fungi that they were able to culture out of those two environments. They also did bacteria, I think, but they said that there was a bigger difference in the fungi that they found in the dust than in the bacteria. And so I don't know if you guys can see this graph very well, but there was way more aspergillus on the International Space Station, for whatever reason. And then there were less species that are really, rusts and things like that that live on plants that you also wouldn't expect to necessarily see in your house. But apparently the spores are just kind of, in our environment on Earth enough that they show up in the dust in your house. But they did not find any of them on the International Space Station. So Cindy thought that was cool. I thought I would pass it along. And I think that's all the news I had this month. Feel free to send things along to me. As you see them, I always enjoy reading the articles. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and turn things over to Mitch for the ID table.